My void will consume you, if you ask nicely.
Your will is no longer your own.
Stay away from the voodoo. Toi!
You have led the Horde to a place without honor.
Your petty quarrels only make me stronger.
Our world needs us, champion.
You got it over your head.
We cannot let the world fall to darkness.
Already lost.
Put your faith in the light, and all is possible.
Is it truly righteousness that drives you? I wonder.
It would seem you have guests.
They are coming for you. This is the Whispers of War.
Hello everyone and welcome to Whispers of War, show number 54. I'm your host Sil. Let's jump into how was my week in Warcraft. There was a lot of Warcraft, I can tell you that, which is always good. That's better than, me not having to tell you anything. But I actually jumped back into retail. I hate retail, the name retail just sounds stupid. Let's call it just as it is, BFA. So I jumped back into BFA. I know I will call it retail in the future again. Not to level anything, even though I wanted to, but I've been leveling perhaps a bit too much this week in Classic, of course. And I just thought, you know what, I just want to see my updated characters with their new graphics. I want to see some RP, because that's what I really miss. And I decided to jump on both characters. So, Horde and Alliance. I went to the Horde side first, and I actually saw a big fight breaking out in Orgrimmar, in the Valley of Wisdom, I think it is. I can't remember, my geography is a little bit crap. And there was a fight between a female orc and a female troll. Something about touching Pandaren tails, which should not have happened, and it was really interesting. I think the role players really acted out their fight scene. It always falls a bit flat when you actually see it, but the emotes were very interesting. Didn't stay there too long. I have to admit that it seems rather quiet on the Horde side, on my server when it comes to RP, and I don't know if that's because of Classic. But it was the complete difference on the Alliance side, because on the Alliance it's actually quite busy still. So of course I went to Stormwind. I also went to Goldshire just because you need to be in Goldshire for the silly RP. Let me start with Goldshire. So someone has taken it upon themselves to I don't know if it's serious or not, to report profiles that are indecent, so I would call them ERP profiles. So for those not in the know, these are people who create toons, which could be level 1s or trials even, just for the specific purpose to ERP in the game. And again, I'm all of the, if you want to do it, you just go ahead, have fun, as long as you're being careful and watch out with who you're talking to. I don't see the harm in it. Just do what you want. But this person was the Goldshire PD or something, and they were screaming that they were reporting every indecent roleplay profile out there. Which I think is maybe a noble cause. I don't know. I'm very much of live and let live. If people have those things, you don't have to read them. If you're offended by it, just block it or something and you won't see them anymore. So that was interesting. I didn't stay in Goldshire too long. But even there, it seems incredibly quiet for a weekend evening. Because I thought if there's one day that's going to be busy, it should be in the weekend, like Friday or Saturday night. But it was really quiet, surprisingly. So I thought maybe I'll have more luck with people who are RPing to report on that in Stormwind. So I went to Stormwind, and yeah, I have to admit there were a lot of people. Again, I get that feeling that there's less people about. Now, I'm not going to say it is Classic, because yes, it could be, but it could also just be that we are in that lull period of, we're waiting for 8.2.5 for the updated models for Goblin and Worgen. I have a suspicion we'll see so many Goblins and Worgens running about when that comes into play. So it's quiet. But luckily Stormwind was a little bit more populated, so I as a druid I tend to hover a little bit. What that means is I go into flight form and I just hover over people who are RPing just to see what they're up. And I know it's very invasive. My druid doesn't know anything about personal space and boundaries, but I have to say, some of the stories were really funny. I saw several humans just walking up to each other and, just having a laugh with each other. And it was all really in character. It was really interesting. And then I flew a little bit over the canals and I saw this gnome lying on the floor, and there was a commotion around him. Apparently someone had kicked him. I don't know if this is the famous gnome punting that's going on. But someone had kicked him and he was flat on the floor, and one lady was really angry and said, oh, just because he's short and a gnome you don't have to kick him. So at least gnome rights are being being looked at. And then I transported myself to the Blue Recluse, and I was in cat form because I tend to sometimes, I'm not a furry, there's nothing wrong with that, but just so you know, I'm not a furry, but I like to RP in my cat form because it's easier to, you get away with a lot of shit. That's just basically what it is. So I walked in as a cat, and this very enthusiastic night elf jumped towards me and asked me to take a seat somewhere, and I said, well, I'll probably have to change for that. And she says, oh, well, you can have a banister as well. And I thought, well, why not, just play along. So I sat on top of a banister. People were taking bets of if I would fall down or not, which is always funny. And then there was a lot of talking going on about breakfasts and gold that was acquired by a Zandalari war chief or something similar. And it was fun to see everyone interact. And at a certain point, I excused myself. And that's the great thing. As a cat, I can just go, oh, I think I smell fish in the harbor, and I'll be back in a bit. And people just are happy with whatever you say. You can just leave. So it was fun to get into it, but I have to admit, because I don't have a regular RP group at the moment, it is very difficult to set up a story for my own characters right now. So I don't know if I need to start looking into setting up a regular RP group or even joining an RP guild. I do not know. I don't want to do that with my alliance characters because I'm very happy where I am with the current guild, but they're not an RP guild, which is fair enough. So I need to have a look around to see if I can see groups of people, maybe on the forums or on a Discord, advertising for RP. So that is really what has happened in BFA. And then of course there's Classic. So what did I do in Classic? I'm really sorry guys, I'm still a fan of Classic. I know some people really like to hate on it, and I will jump into that a little bit. But I really enjoy Classic with the questing, because I've forgotten so many quests and storylines, and it really does feel different because with current WoW you're just very much, every story builds towards the main story. There are a few that are just tiny stories, but this really feels like just a D&D setting, a little town, something happens, okay, all these side quests. I feel much more like I'm in a little role-playing game, and so much more invested in the areas, so I'm having a great time there. I switched from mage to druid. I don't know if I said that last week, but I've switched. Not because I have anything against mage. Mages are amazing when it comes to their damage, but I felt like I had a lot of downtime with the mana consumption and everything, and I felt really fragile. Also, you have to start at level 25, you have to start going to contested areas. Not that I'm afraid of PvP at all, but I was just like, I don't constantly want to be ganked. That has not happened to me yet. I have also not attacked any alliance, just so you know. So I thought maybe I need to make the switch to druid, so went to druid, and wow, druids level really quickly. I leveled my druid so much quicker than I did my mage, because there is almost no downtime with a druid. You really have to do the whole shape shifting, changing constantly. So if you're in cat, then at a certain point, if you need to heal, you quickly go to caster, do a few spells, go into bear if you pull too many mobs. You really have to be on it, but it is so much more fun for me. It feels like a proper challenge, and I felt like, you know, of course I died, because again, you can't keep over pulling mobs, or, you know, the respawn rates of certain mobs are insane, and all of a sudden you have 5 running towards you. So that is very interesting, and I really do feel like I haven't died as much on my druid as I have on my mage. At a certain point I was just corpse running constantly with my mage, and it's just not fun. So really enjoyed the druid, but I'm at level 25 now, which I set myself as a goal for the weekend, and then I thought in the weekend I'm going to do some dungeons with friends, but unfortunately that didn't happen, which is fine. That's not a problem, but I thought, shall I just level? But I can't push myself into leveling past 25, and I think that is the line for me. I think once I'm past 30 I will be fine, but 25 to 30 I'm having such a hard time with, and I think it's because you have to go through different areas, you have to you know, certain quests are quite hard. There's all of a sudden like a big gap, and I have heard that you just need to do green quests that are almost deemed too easy, just to get you over that hump almost. So I am doing that, but I kind of stopped until I reached 26. I haven't digged yet. And then I started doing something else, and I'm sure that everyone will start facepalming now. But I actually went to my Alliance server, which is just the RP server. I think it's, what's it called? Hydraxian Waterlords. Because I didn't really want to PvP on that server, I just wanted to go for the RP. And I thought, well, let's go back for nostalgia reasons. I'd made a Night Elf Druid there. But after having played my Tauren Druid, I didn't really want to level another Druid. So then I started to create a Hunter. And Hunters are actually quite a bit of a challenge in vanilla, just because you really have to micromanage your pets, and you have to make sure that you get all your abilities for pets, and you might have to tame certain pets to get those abilities, and you have to manage the food for your pets. What else? You miss a bag slot because you have to have arrows. Make sure that you have your arrows, and it's just, I don't know, it's a little bit more that I have to do than I would normally be used to on my current BFA Hunter, but I'm enjoying it, and yeah, it's still really nice leveling, and oh my god, the nostalgia just from being in the Night Elf area, because that's where I started in World of Warcraft all those years ago. And it's just really nice hearing the music, seeing the quests, seeing people actually talking, and yeah, I don't know, it was just, I just enjoyed myself. Also, I am that kind of player who has a macro that is the lick emote. Don't all get offended now, but when I sometimes run past people and they buff me, I will give them that lick emote. And some people actually seem to find that really funny, because either they do the /giggle or they do the lick emote back, and I'm just like, well, that's something I used to do constantly as a druid when I started out. Now I'll just do it on my hunter. I'll just be that crazy person who licks everyone. So that's really what I've been doing in World of Warcraft. Yeah, still leveling, and I want to get a little bit back into RP. I am actually really looking forward to what is it, the non-sharding or non-layering stuff that's going on in Classic, because there were some RP events going on, but again, it's very difficult to do anything if you are in the wrong layer. So, a shame that I didn't really want to get invited to the groups, because I was just like, no, I just wanna see people RP, and it's, yeah, not something that's happening at the moment. It's just too many issues. So, we'll see about that. We'll see what happens, because I would like to organize something for the Horde side on Zandalar Tribe to see if we maybe can set up something like an RP PvP event for South Shore against Tauren Mill. That would be really cool, because that's something we used to have, or even where it used to be when my old server crashed, when we had a big event on the Shimmering Flats, and the server could not handle all those people at once. I'm sure that we won't have this issue anymore, but it would be very interesting to see if it would happen if there's too many people. So yeah, that's really what's been going on with me. Now, I will let you enjoy my interview that I had, and it's all about Tauren and Druids, but you know, it's all about class as well afterwards. So I will come back after the interview that I've had with Birdie, and we'll talk about your favorite classes and races, combinations, and why. I'll talk a little bit about the WoW news that's been going on, because that's been interesting. And yeah, maybe something about RP how to. Well, I'm sure you'll have to stick around for that. So I'll see you on the flip side. And with me today, I'm being joined by a lady with a very lovely accent we've just established. Welcome, Birdie.
Thank you.
How are you?
A little nervous. Determined to enjoy myself.
Good. Don't be nervous. I'm sure as soon as you start talking about World of Warcraft, that will just all go away. So, Birdie, why don't you tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you do in game, just, who is Birdie?
Birdie, in-game, is a Tauren druid by the name of Miranda. I started her, 12-ish years ago. I love Taurens, I love druids, and she's very much me.
Mm-hmm.
Out of game, I'm a 52-year-old mother of two who both used to play.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 2-year-old granddaughter who is just everything. I've lived in the US for the last 10 years. I was born and raised in Australia. And yeah, the world has treated me very interestingly.
Okay.
WoW is my therapy. Officially my therapy.
You know what? I hear that from quite a lot of people, actually, that playing World of Warcraft and just having a community in World of Warcraft works sometimes better than going actually to a therapist or anything like that. And I think that's such a good thing that a game can do that for people.
Well, I don't get out much. I'm disabled. I have a laundry list of physical and mental issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I do actually see a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And I just switched over to a new one. She's a sweet child.
Mm.
But they're children. They're half my age. And the previous one was like, if it gives you a sense of community, if it gives you somewhere to reach out to, if it gives you some way to get away from what is stressing you for a little while, use it, do it. And there are days when it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I get in game, I can run around and be something else. And I think the biggest part of the druid is the shape-shifting. I can be a bird or a fish or a cat or a bear. All these fun things.
Absolutely. So you already said a little bit that you're a Tauren. Have you always been Horde, or have you also dabbled a little bit in Alliance?
I play a few Alliance tunes.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is probably, again, a druid. She's Worgen.
Mm-hmm.
Emmeline is very expressive because Worgen are much more emotive in movement.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever seen how the Worgen form moves, it's very expressive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't go into combat without being in the Worgen form.
Very true.
And I'm like, I want to see how they work as a human. Nope, can't do it. Oh well.
Do you think it would be better after the Worgen rework that we're getting an 8.2.5?
I have seen some of their concept work, the artwork for it, and I'm looking forward to the changes. The Worgen females are going to be more expressive facially, and I like the details. The change between the old Tauren and the new Tauren was a huge improvement. The Worgen, when they first came out, were extremely expressive, but they're starting to look dated.
Yeah.
So when they get the upgrades, yeah, it's going to look very nice, I think. Besides my Worgens, I have a couple of humans. I have one single solitary gnome who I will utterly deny to my last dying breath that I ever play. But, you know, I just, gnomes, nope, can't do it normally.
I'm the same. I have a gnome here or there, but I don't really, no one will ever know except for people who listen to the podcast. Okay, have you always, started with the Horde in that sense, that has been your main faction?
Oh, yes. I didn't even think about an alliance character for, well over a year. I was doing a recruiter friend thing to help a buddy of mine, and he wanted to try playing Alliance. And I'm like, okay, so we chose a server at random, and he, like an idiot, chose a PvP server.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, ouch is right. Us three little baby humans got ourselves beaten to death time and again in the first few weeks. And then we went back to playing our Horde tunes, and that was it. I don't think we did anything more with those ones after that. About a year later, I logged in, cleaned out her bags, packaged up everything, sold every last thing that I could, and gave about 5 gold to a noob who was blessing the goddess for having seen me, 5 gold, oh my goodness. This is in early Wrath.
Yeah.
5 gold was a lot of money,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and deleted the character and never went back. Not to that server anyway.
Okay, how did you start your love for World of Warcraft? How did you get into it?
Okay, so I blame my ex-husband on that one. We met via the internet in a roleplay chat room, and he was taking forever long to respond one night, and I'm like, what is occupying you that your posts are long and detailed? Yes, dear, but and it turns out he's playing WoW between turns, between posts, and I got in his face about it a couple of times. So he decides to help me upgrade my computer a bit. I had just gotten a cable internet at that point, and so we upgraded my computer, and he gets me hooked on WoW. And I came out to the US to visit. By that stage, I was, pretty much hooked. And when he proposed, we started all the whole, hey, let's get everything organized for my trip to come out. When I arrived in the US, because that would, just 10.5 years now I've been here, we got my computer that it would run WoW very nicely. It's a different computer at that point. And he decided that I was playing WoW too much. Started complaining about it.
Okay.
which is when he started playing something else. He wanted me to switch to that other game. I said, no, I'm enjoying this. I like this game. I'd been in it a while. He got my son an account. My daughter decided she wanted to play because they were teenagers when I brought them out here.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went back to WoW for a little while, and then when he and I split up, he pretty much stopped playing.
Okay.
The kids continued for a while. We had a blast. I met someone else absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He plays. My son met a young lady. She plays. So for about 6 months there, we're a 5-man dungeon group.
Nice. That's not bad.
My kids, my boyfriend, and myself. It depended on who was feeling frisky that night as to whether my boyfriend or my son tanked. I'd heal. The other 3 were DPS. My daughter shadow priested and like, Mom, I'm not healing. You don't have to. You're shadow. I will heal you. Trust me. So, yeah, we had a blast, but it's all my ex-husband's fault. And I will forgive him all of his stupid for that. Everything else he's got to wear the blame for.
At least you have WoW out of it, I guess.
This is true. I actually not too long ago, one of his friends contacted me and said, how's it going? And I'm like, it's going just fine. I don't have any contact with him. I heard he got remarried. I hope they're doing well, yada, yada, yada. And I get message back saying, well, yeah, he's had good and bad. I'm like, that's fine. He's not my circus, not my monkeys.
Exactly. Now, let's jump into this World of Warcraft then. And I always let the guests pick their main topic. And you really wanted to talk about Taurens and about Druids.
Mm-hmm.
So before I let you talk on your soapbox about the Taurens and the Druids, can I ask what came first for you? The fact that you wanted to play a Tauren or the fact that you wanted to play a Druid?
Tauren first.
Okay.
When I was in the character selection screen, I was looking at the different races that I had the ability to play. And Tauren were big and gentle looking to me. I mean, Tauren males always look a bit fierce, but the Tauren females looked gentle to me. And, they had this affinity with the Earth Mother. And I'm like, okay, this feels right. What class? Druid. Shapeshift. I can be a cat. Be a bird. I can, all these things. They're so much fun. I can shapeshift. Always wanted to shapeshift. That, and I play a druid in Dungeons & Dragons.
Okay.
I've had several druids over the years.
Okay.
So
That's fair.
I made a Tauren druid.
Yeah, that's how I had it. I most of the time I was a druid in Pathfinder or in D&D, so I understand where you're coming from. Okay, so why this topic? Why Taurens and Druids?
That's me. That's my starting place. That's my place I go back to. My guildies will say, if I'm having a bad day and you're looking for birdie, just look where there's herbs. It's my happy place. I will go and pick flowers, and I'm happy after about half an hour, 45 minutes. I'll dive bomb whatever flowers are around because Tauren druids have the best herb picking abilities there is. I don't need the bonus to the herb picking for the gloves like all my other toons do. I just bounce, get it, gone. And it's especially fun. Well, it used to be. I mean, nowadays everyone who can get to a flower within about 30 seconds can pick it.
True.
Which, makes me not have to laugh at the night elves. Because that was always the fun part. Moonlight Tauren. That's it. I can't remember who did the song, but my boyfriend's got his computer running at the moment. And he's put on Cranius's Cranius Happy Place about an undead rogue who picks flowers. So yeah, that's my happy place. When that song came out, everyone was like, "There's Birdie's song right there. There it is." But Moonlight Tauren, there's a line in it, and you see the Tauren druid fly down, pick the flower, and fly away as the night elf is trying to pick it. But they got there too late because Tauren got it. So yeah, it's my starting place, my happy place. It's the Tauren druid, my main, and it will always be my main.
Okay, that's a good thing. What flavor of druid do you play?
I'm a boomkin. I can do any role. I have another druid who's a tank, and feral. I have a pure feral. I have, I think, 6 druids in total across 44 characters.
Okay, wow.
I think 6. Janisha's feral, Micheline's guardian, Emmy, Arianya, and Fayala are all just pure boomkins. And Miranda's the restokin. I haven't healed much this expansion, but she's been my primary healer since Wrath.
Okay.
I didn't learn to heal until I hit Wrath. The guild I was in through BC wasn't really interested in teaching me to do anything other than boomkin. I still keep in touch with the people that taught me how to play a druid, which is fun. I miss a couple of them, but the rest I still keep in touch with.
Okay. When it comes to druids at the moment, do you think they're in a good place?
From what I have seen, yes. Healy druids are still your best raid healers. Overhealing. Yes, it happens. You don't waste as much mana with overheals as, say, a shaman would. My innovation, my mana regen is still pretty damn good. Boomkins are still one of your top DPS. I can two-shot some of the creatures in the newer zones if I get the right procs. Spoiler on BFA 8.2. There's stuff in Najata and Mechagon that, like I said, if I can proc the right crits, I can take them down in 2 shots.
Okay, nice.
I don't see hunters or paladins doing that. People who are traditionally top of their game, I don't see them taking stuff down that quickly. That's not to say I can do it all the time. My usual rotation will take something down fairly quickly. But, I'm not going to say I can do everything in 2 shots. But old content, going back to standard BFA in Zandalar or Kulturas, it's going to die before it reaches me if I get distance and good hits. And if I lock it down, it won't reach me.
Okay, nice. That's nice.
I prefer it that way. I mean, I've got a better armor class than most tanks with that fur, but, you know, I would prefer they don't get to me.
Mm-hmm. When you look at Tauren, and I don't know if this is going to be much of a spoiler, but the whole Bane situation that we've had. So this is a spoiler for everyone who has not gone through going back to Orgrimmar to save Bane. How do you feel with the idea? I'm not going to say that it's going to happen, but the fact that, you know, they are kind of like saying that Sylvanas might come and do the same to Thunderbluff. How does that make you feel? Where the storyline is going for Bane and the Tauren?
When I saw how Bane was beginning to react to Sylvanas' machinations, it upset me. It really did.
Mm-hmm.
I know Sylvanas is not in her right mind.
Mm-hmm.
The clues that we've had, very spoilery, the clues that we've had is that she is being whispered to by an old god, and we're fairly certain from the lore crafting that myself, my boyfriend, several others have done, is that it's N'Zoth, who is the one that gave Ashara a new lease on life. So, if he's behind that, we're facing an old god in the not too distant future, which is going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he's telling Sylvanas what to think, what to do, then, you know, Bane has no fault in it. Bane is working with his code of honor. His code of honor personally, his code of honor for the Horde. His honor code has always been to do the right thing. And she's not. Sylvanas is not doing the right thing. Sylvanas is working against the Horde's code of honor.
Mm-hmm.
Acts comes down to it. She's working against her old code of honor. She had a code once upon a time. She wouldn't use a fight against her own people.
Mm-hmm.
That was wrong. Over time, we have seen her do some odd things, but these kinds of atrocities that she has committed, it's for a Tauren, it's unfathomable, unthinkable to do these things. So Bane reacted the only way he could, to speak out, and when that was being squashed, to act. So he's done the right thing by how a Tauren would judge it.
Mm-hmm.
And every Tauren that I know, everybody that plays a Tauren, has been, we look the situation over and we side with Bane.
Mm-hmm.
So rescuing Bane was a quest chain I had to get done. And when I found out that I had this one small quest, I went back, I did it, and over the next 24 hours, I spent the vast majority of my time tracking down the pieces and going to the next quest, getting the heritage armor, testing that out, realizing that the heritage armor looked like a damn bikini on me. Decided that, no, that's just not my transmog. And I went back to my usual mog and like, yeah, I'm good, thank you. But it was gut-wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
Realize that you walk into this room and here's the leader of your people waiting to be executed because some dumbass. Yeah. It's mind-blowingly crazy. How could anybody possibly want to kill Bane? No, this is wrong. But yes, I get a little indignant. I'm very protective of the Tauren.
That's all right, because Bane made a lot of friends, and that's why they all come and save him.
Yes.
So, you know, I think there's something to say for Bane. Birdie, do you have anything else that you would like to put out there for Taurens or Druids before I move to BFA?
We need more Tauren storylines. We need more we need more good scenes for the Tauren. I don't know if you sit down and look at the lore. I do. The Tauren have had a number of tragic incidents happen, and to a lesser extent, druids have had a number of tragic events happen because some idiots decided to flex, whether it's in-game muscle or a little bit of EP or both. And we wear the brunt of it. We're the whipping boys in a lot of different things in that respect. The instance in Camp Tauraho, the burning of Teldrassil, it wasn't against specifically druids, it was against the Night Elves, but the Night Elves have druids, and Hill was their traditional home. So to burn that again, Sylvanas was acting against druids. Back in Kata, there was a massacre of druids in Stone Talon Mountains by, as we find out towards the end of the quest chain, a renegade orc who just thought that it was, it was the right thing to do. And he got punished for it by Garrosh, which that turns out to be the probably the best thing Garrosh ever did, was to kicking him off the top of that cliff. Yes, thank you very much. I'll give him red points for that one. But yeah, the Tauren don't get a lot of in-game love. I don't know how close you watched the end of Pandaria. Did you remember Desco, the Sunwalker?
Oh, I remember the name, but I don't really remember what happened with them.
He and his wife, Lisa, turned up in Crasserang Wilds. She was heavily pregnant. She had been following Vision to try and find their ideal place, a place for them to settle. And they didn't get to Valley of Eternal Blossoms. They didn't get there, but they could see. She could see it in visions. In Crasserang Wilds, she gave birth to twin boys and died in childbirth. Then the writers did a whole series of little stories of some of the secondary characters of Pandaria, and Desco got one of those stories. Chi-Chi was looking for a new soul, a new person to add to the Shadow Pan, and it turned out to be one of the babies. And then he said, "Oh, interesting, it's both of them. We'll take one." And Desco was like, "No, you're not taking my babies." In trying to leave the Vale with babies, they were both injured. One died. Shadowpan were able to save one, and he ended up saying, "Take him to make sure that he lives." The story affected me a lot. I found it very emotionally impactful, I guess is the best way to put it. It hurt a little. One of my guildies had said, "Oh, Bertie, you must read this. You must read this. I just found it." I went and read it, cried for an hour or two, and this guy promptly gets yelled at by half the guild for upsetting. My guildies are very protective of me.
Yeah.
The fact that this happens, if there's going to be a big emotional thing, it's generally seems to be happening to Tauren. And, you know, I take it to heart, I guess, a little too much sometimes.
I think, you know, like you said, we need to get some happy storylines for Druids.
Yes.
And for Taurens, for that
Yes.
matter.
We need Tauren love. More cowbell. Definitely more cowbell.
Exactly. Okay, so let's go to the current state of BFA. If you had to pick, what are you most impressed with when it comes to BFA?
Oh, the stories, they're huge. They didn't go for halves on this one. The lower are absolutely amazing. I'm not as in depth with the Alliance side, I have to admit. I haven't finished playing all of these storylines Alliance side. But Horde side, I mean, you get to choose 3 huge storylines the minute you walk into Zandalar. And I've played all 3 of them. The storyline in Zuldazar is very much a case of betrayal. Muldoon is survival. Nazjatar is vengeance. Not Nazjatar, Nazmir is vengeance. More vengeance than anything else. And you've got these huge storylines that when you follow them to the end, and most people aren't, they're not following the entire thing through to the end unless they have to.
Okay.
And I'm finding a lot of people saying, what is it you're talking about? You know, you go to such and such a place? Yeah, but have you played through all that storyline? No, probably not. I've never heard about that particular quest. Well, you go through here and then here and then here, and oh, okay, yeah, well, I stopped at that second point because I had a quest to go to somewhere else. And if you don't finish what you're doing, you don't find out everything. So that's kind of why, I mean, Miranda's my completionist. She being my main, she does everything. Through an entire zone, go on to another zone, finish playing it out. You've got to get flight, so that's always been my goal, is making sure I got everything done, everything completed.
That's good. That's good. If you had to pick something that you're not so happy with something that could have been improved, what would you pick?
About the game, BFA hasn't had such a big problem with this. It was worse, much worse at Legion. Gating things behind dungeons.
Yeah.
Irks me on a grand scale. As an alchemist, Legion was a horrific thing for this. Not so much in BFA, although to get second rank of Anchorweed, you had to go into a dungeon.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, I still have a tune that hasn't done that. Even though she's 120, even though, you know, I just have to go in with a couple of guildies and do it on normal and we can 3-man raffle stomp it, I still haven't done it. For the simple fact that it's a dungeon and it has to be done. And I'm like, ugh. I'm not especially huge on doing dungeons. I'll do them when I have to. I'll do them to help a guildie. But I'm more solo. I'm more out in the world. You know, 1 or 2 people, not 5 people who have to all do the right thing. There's too much stupid in the world. And I guarantee you that somebody will find the stupid to stand in, and I'm going to heal. You're dying, you're standing in the flame. What do you... I can't move you. Will you please move? No, not... I said move out of the... Oh, good Lord. Battle res incoming. That's me. That's me. And you should hear me on chat, on Discord or something like that. If people are doing that, yeah, it's violent.
Well,
What
I can't
part
really.
of the stupid do you not hear?
I can't really blame you about that.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's probably the biggest problem I've had from outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
People who just have to constantly diss the devs.
Mm.
It sucks without flight. It's hard to get flight. Everything's too easy. Everything's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if you all don't like this, play something else. If this is the game you want to play, shut up.
I think that's a good one. Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. Okay. I'm curious. Do you have a good tip for the listeners regarding VFA? Maybe something you've discovered or a way of playing, or just any tip that you want to share with the listeners?
Oh, persevere with getting your flight. It's worth it.
It's a good one.
If you're finding the game difficult, if you get bogged down in something, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Find something that interests you, something fun. Go pet battle, go pick flowers, find an achievement. Island expeditions in VFA have turned out to be a blast, although Mythic hurts like hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't PvP. But if that's what gets your boat rocking, go PvP. You know, find something that you like to do that's outside of what you're normally doing. Because if you get bored and start heading towards burnout, you know, either or, these are not mutually exclusive. It's a case of, yeah, you find yourself, this is work, this is drudgery, and you lose focus. You don't want to play, you don't want to do things. That's fine, but you're paying to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
If it's getting to the point where you don't want to play, you either find another way to do it, or you stop paying. You know, and I buy tokens. I don't have the money most of the time to be able to spend, you know, that $15 a month. That's milk, bread, and a few other things.
Yeah.
To me, that's, you know, money that we need to survive. The situation here has always been a bit on the tenuous side, so I can raise the gold usually fairly quickly. The last few weeks, 40,000 in 2 weeks, I think, just off one tune. Yeah, I sell flasks. They sell rather nicely.
Good.
Sorry, I wandered on that one.
No. That's perfectly fine. And I think you gave some really good tips. I'm curious, what has the Warcraft community meant to you?
Oh, it's family. Okay. When I first started playing WoW, like I said, I blame my ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
I was in were a top-end raiding guild because my ex-husband was a raider, and they took me in and helped me learn how to play my class. And one of those people, Bindler, I still keep in contact with. We're friends on Facebook. We talk a good bit when he's in game, when he's at home. You know, pounce on him, what have you, in game. Chat with him and his wife, make sure they're okay. The people that I met in the next guild I went to, a lot of them, when I left that guild and went into the guild I'm in now, which I actually run now, a lot of those people came with me. They left Endless Night, came to Honor Bound, and they're still there. I've been in Honor Bound 8, maybe 9 years. I've been running it a lot of that time. When I can't, I can always hand it to one of the officers for a while. My boyfriend ran it for almost 2 years while I was trying to get my head back together. I have CPTSD and chronic depression, so when it got too much, I handed it off so that I could get my head back together. That's why I was seeing a therapist for a while. It's family. My guildies are my family.
That's really nice. I think that's, yeah, no, I always like hearing that answer from people, because I think it's just impressive that a game can do that for people. So yeah, no, that's really nice. Okay, Birdie, we're getting to the final question of the interview, which is a weird one. Which is, what is your whisper? Now, a whisper can be anything, basically a wish that you have for the game, or maybe game mechanics you want implemented, or a bit of fairy crafting about the story, just anything really, if I'm honest. What would be your whisper?
Okay, like I said earlier, more cowbell, more Tauren-centric stories, more back history from trolls, more about Vol'jin. The theory crafting that's coming from that is that he will be the lower of the Zandalari Paladins, which I am looking forward to on a grand scale. Oh yeah, I mean, that brings him back into the story. He's never been a primary in a story until he suddenly became our war chief, and then we killed him off in an expansion later. I mean, come on. If I had my wish, my boomkin would be twice as powerful. Give me those Pally wind gems, more beautiful leather robes for my druid, of course. Something that would be possible, but I don't know whether it would come from the devs or some kind of add-on, is more ability to RP, more emotes, things like, I love boop. I can go up and boop people on the nose. And it's a game in our guild now. If you can get caught, I will, if I find one of my guildies, I'll boop them and run or fly or whatever. And if I can catch them and not get caught back, I've won. So, I'm seriously hundreds of points up at this point.
Nice.
But a way to role play between the factions would, even a basic role play between the factions would be amazing. Because can you imagine that? Can you imagine the ability to just do a very basic role play between the factions? That would be awesome.
If I'm honest, I know ways of doing that, but that's because I'm a role player and because of the add-ons that we use. We found out that we could talk to the other faction, and people were very afraid of, oh, is this going to get us banned? But actually they have confirmed that no, it's fine to do that. There's nothing wrong with the add-on, so it is possible, but it's a lot of hassle to get it installed, I think, and set it up. But yeah, I mean, if we could actually do that in game, I mean, you see everyone talking the cinematics, so I don't understand why we can't do that.
I mean, Jaina and Bane are talking, and I know that Jaina does speak Orcish. She's able to communicate with Thrall, but then Thrall also speaks Common. I don't see how Bane could possibly have known much in the way of Common.
Exactly.
And I know that Vol'jin wouldn't have learned Common. It's not a language that a troll would learn. even one fairly well educated.
Mm-hmm.
Not something he would learn. So, I wouldn't expect him to be able to speak it.
Yeah, there must be something in game that I think we're past that stage now. I think we should get that. All right. Okay, I like those answers. Birdie, thank you so much for the interview. If people want to find you, where can they find you on the interwebs?
They can find me on Twitter. The heck is my name on Twitter? How do I find that? That wasn't the right button. There is a button here that's somewhere that tells me what my profile. There we go. Ladybirdness is my name on Twitter. If they want to find me, I have got to the point of tweeting more these days than I used to. It's my connection to WoW. I craft a lot of items. I crochet, so I craft burlocks, other
cool.
things. I've made a Pepe, other little toys, and I sell them when people want to buy them. I also make custom pieces. I made an orc with no pants because one of my guildies has called himself the King of No Pants because consistently for a while there, the mobs were stealing his pants. I think that had to have been in Pandaria. And so he wanted an orc like him that had removable pants. He still has it. One of the few things that he took with him when he moved. So yes, I made an orc with no pants. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That sounds really cool. Okay. Again, thank you so much, Birdie, and I'm sure that people will follow you and I want to see the Murlocs because I love Murlocs, but that is amazing. So thank you so much for the interview.
Not a problem at all. You can always catch up with me if you need more answers, if you need more opinions. I've got them.
Good. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. It was lovely talking to Birdie. And let's jump into the news first. Now, I know this is like a news segment. I'm trying it out. I know there's other podcasts out there that are so much more, taking a deep dive into the news segment. But there's a few things I feel like we need to talk about. So, first of all, a good thing, I guess. Also, if you have plenty of money, then you can do this. So you can own a piece of World of Warcraft history, and you can also support a good cause called Pencils of Promise. And basically what it is Blizzard is selling these server blades. I think they've done that a very long time ago, but you could buy specific server blades for your old servers, and it would have the name, I think, on it of your old server. So they don't use these anymore, and you can now own a server blade, and there's a bit of a Q&A on the official website with what it is. So if you want to know what a server blade is, it's World of Warcraft realms are hosted on HP blade systems, which combine server, storage, network, power, and management capabilities into an integrated system. These blades were part of the hardware that provided the processing power to run the game from 2010-2016. So, if you wanted to buy one, you can do that. There was a first round which was on Friday the 13th. Why would you do that? But that was on Friday the 13th of September. And there will be another round in case you missed this. You can again try and get one on September the 18th. And that's on a Wednesday. So that's this week. You only have like 2 more days. Or 1 more day, depending on when you listen to this. So if you want to get one, you can at the Blizzard Gear store, but I have heard that these things are quite pricey. Was it maybe $300 or was that euros? So it's a lot of money. But if you want to spend that, I don't know if you need to. Do you want a server blade? Do you want a statue? It's really, what would you want for that amount of money? But I think it's really good that, again, it's going to a good cause. So Pencils of Promise, I just read out on the website what they say about this charity. Pencils of Promise is a for-purpose organization founded in 2008 with the goal of increasing access to quality education for children around the world. POP works with communities to build schools and create programs to provide educational opportunities for students, no matter where they are born or what resources they have. To date, POP has built more than 500 schools and currently serves more than 100,000 students throughout Ghana, Guatemala, and Laos, establishing itself as a leader amongst the innovative global non-profits working towards sustainable social change. And I think, being a former teacher myself, I think education is really important. I think it's so great to see that other kids and students are getting this opportunity to go to school and to have the access to education. So yeah, I can never fault Blizzard for their charity work. I think they always do great work. So that's one of the things that I saw in the news that really caught my eye. Like I said, there's much more going on. So the other thing that people might have seen, which have kind of left a bit of a weird taste in some people's mouth, is the Recruiter Friend, which left us for a while. And we were told it was going to come back. Well, it is going to come back. So the Recruiter Friend is coming back. So what's new? Again, I'm reading from the website in case you're like, oh, still knows all. No, I don't. I'm very good at reading. The new and improved Recruiter Friend program retains fan-favorite features, and it introduces a bounty of new rewards because Azeroth is best experienced with friends at your side. Just like the previous program, you can teleport to each other with friend-to-friend summoning, which works on a 30-minute cooldown, and receive 50% bonus experience when partying together. That's something we knew. That's always something that we had. But, and this is where the new Recruiter Friend comes in. The new Recruiter Friend program allows you to be linked with up to 10 friends and earns game time and other unique rewards like mounts, pets, and more. The longer they play. Players new to the WoW and veteran players who have not purchased game time on their account in the past 2 years can be enlisted in this program. Each time one of your recruits adds game time to their account, you'll earn progress towards a new reward. The more friends you invite, the faster you'll earn the rewards, as one friend adding multiple months of game time earns the same reward as multiple friends adding 1 month of game time each. That is interesting to me. So, first of all, this is not for me because I don't have any friends. So, that's not going to work for me. But it's interesting that you can now accumulate more friends, and even if they all subscribe for 1 month, you still get the reward of multiple months if you would have one friend. That's great. So, let's have a look and see what you can get. I'm not going to say when you get what, I'm just going to read out the rewards, because if you want to know the details, just go to the Blizzard website, honestly. So Ricky, I love the name Ricky. This curious monkey is ready to see the world at your side. I mean, god damn it, I should have this because of my username. I should really have this. Right, so it's a monkey. If it's the thing that I'm seeing in the picture, it has a cute little outfit and a hat, and it's looking very much like it's ready for adventure, so you can get Ricky. The Explorer's Dune Trekker traverse deserts, jungles, tundras, and beyond on this 2-seater mount. That looks very much like a camel to me, with goggles. So it's a cool camel, considering that I'm one of those people who never went for any of the camel mounts. Maybe I should try it. You can get the Renowned Explorer title. Distinguish yourself with a unique title. For me personally, I hardly use my titles. If anything, I switch them off for certain things because I just find them annoying. And then there's an enchant that you can get. Stinging Sands. Enhance the appearance of your weapons with swirling sands. That's alright, I guess. That's alright. And the next thing on the item list is a Renowned Explorer's Tabard. Don this rugged tabard to show off your adventurous streak. Right, so it's another tower. Okay. Explorer's Jungle Hopper. Soar through Azeroth skies on this mount for 2. And that actually looks like a plane. Yeah, that's alright. I'm not one of the people who really enjoys mechanical mounts. So, you know, unless they look like animals. So the whole plane thing is not really for me. But I'm sure that other people are really, really enthusiastic. God knows how many people want that love rocket thing, right? So you can also get the Renowned Explorer's Rucksack. Always be prepared for adventure with this bustling backpack. And it actually looks like you're wearing a backpack. I don't know if that actually means that you have a cloak that looks like a backpack and that's it. And then you have the Renowned Explorer's Attire. Look the part of a grizzled outdoors person with this rugged appearance. I think you should get a stubble or a beard included with that if you want to be rugged. So, yeah, not bad. It's not bad what you get. It's something different, but I'm sure that a lot of people will moan about it and are not happy with this, because that's what people do, isn't it? You always get angry. I can't see it happening for myself, if I'm honest. I don't think that will happen, but you have to be at least into the whole, I think 12 months that you have to subscribe. So either get 10 friends who subscribe for a while, or get one very good friend who subscribes for the rest of their life and commits to this, so you get your items. But yeah, it's not a bad idea. I think the recruiter friend thing is good to have, so it's good that we're getting it back. I will never get that, but if you guys do get the goodies, let me know. Let me know what you feel and think about them when you actually do receive it in game. Now, there's been another thing that's really, really interesting. And it's not the Worgen and Goblin models that we've seen a little bit of in game. Not in game, but it's been appearing on the internet. What I really, just a quick note, really, really like is that the female Worgen also have glowing eyes now. There is that option. And the male Worgen have normal eyes like the female Worgen. I think that's a very nice touch. So I'm very happy with that. But the other thing that we've been hearing people talk about, and I've seen it on the forums, I've seen streamers talk about, I've seen it on different kind of things, even Facebook groups that I'm in. Apparently, Classic WoW is too easy. We are playing a nerfed version. I'm using the words of people who said this on the forums. We are playing a nerfed version of the game. Why are we not playing the hard version? This is what I've seen several people complain about on the forums, because apparently patch 1.12, the patch that we are playing in Classic at the moment, was the patch where everything got leveled out. So they revised a lot of things and made sure that this was, you know, the best patch for players to play in. I don't see the issue with that, really. Why would we not want to play a balanced game? Because before that, we had classes that were either really overpowered or other classes that were just really, really rubbish. And if you can manage to play a balanced game, then why not? I don't really understand the issue. If people want to play freaking hardcore, take off all your gear, okay, and don't have any consumables on you. I don't know. Do that. I don't understand why people get so incredibly angry about it. But I have to admit, sometimes it does feel like people just want to get angry for the sake of being angry. So that's all I really want to say about that. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Do you really feel that Classic is nerfed and that it should have been harder? Or are you like, you know what, it's hard enough. I'm enjoying myself. It doesn't have to be really, really difficult. Now, staying with Classic, there was a rumor that was, I think, on a Brazilian website or something, that if you reached level 60 in Classic, you would get a free copy of Battle for Azeroth and a level 110 character boost, which was valued at about £50. This is Great British pounds. I don't know how much that is in euros or dollars. I'm sorry, guys. My conversion rates are crap. So that is a rumor, because it was taken down off the website really quickly, and again, of course, this I don't want to use the word shit show because I don't want to steal it from Taliesin and Nevital, but it really caused a shitstorm on forums and other Facebook pages and Twitter, and I don't understand where all this anger is coming from. I mean, I think a lot of people need to take chill pills, because if things anger you so much, then just don't play it anymore. If all you get is annoyed with a game, then stop playing. That's my opinion. I've played games in the past that I was like, you know what, I can't play a game with all these bugs. I'll wait until you fix it. And sometimes I went back, sometimes I never went back, because they've burned me too much. But people now feel like they have to be so vocal about everything, and just, if you don't agree with them, you are wrong. Per definition, you are an idiot because you clearly don't understand what's going on. For me personally, if this was real, would I be offended? No. If people, I can understand it actually, because say that these people come back from a long hiatus, or they just wanted to try out Classic because they've heard it's harder, before the nerf apparently, and they start playing, they've reached level 60, and they're like, you know what, I'm actually really curious what current the BFA copy is like. If they have to start leveling, fair enough, it's not as hard as it is on Classic, but if they want to start leveling from 1 again till 120, that's a long time. Whereas now, if you do get a boost, it will help maybe, and people who want to level something anyway will do it. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen how many people are still leveling characters in current BFA. So I don't really understand where all this anger is coming from. So yeah, I'll just leave it with this, because like I said, there's always something going on the forums, but this is something I thought, let's just push it forward. But let's jump into what you guys said about your favorite class and race combinations. So I am just pulling up Twitter. So if you want to contribute to the question of the week, you can do that on Twitter. Just go to @whispers_of_war. That's where you will find my question of the week. I am very, very bad at posting them, but I do try. So let's have a look at what your replies were. Alright, so I'm going to, for those that are new, I butcher names, so I apologize every episode. I am going to butcher your name. That's just how I roll. So Ryan said, what sticks in my head so much is leveling my Blood Elf in Burning Crusade and that storyline, and it gives me some rich history to playing a Blood Elf. With that being said, the Suramar story in Legion was one of the best the game has ever had. To me it comes down to the story. That's fair enough. I have to admit that I really enjoyed the Blood Elf storyline, also when I was leveling my Blood Elf. It's a lot of fun. I thought it was more fun for me personally than the Draenei, but I think for Burning Crusade, that first expansion that we received, it was really interesting to getting the new background story for a new race. Navox said, my favorite race class is the Human Warrior. It stems back from my love of the Conan the Barbarian, swords and sorcery stories. The new Tauren race would have been my choice if it was around in vanilla. The race I cannot play is the Draenei. I've tried, but I just can't make that player-avatar connection. I think that's fair enough. It, no pun intended, but it is a very alien race. Yeah, I can see a lot of people having that. I see a lot of our peers connect more with their human character, or characters that look far more human than something like a Draenei or anything else that's out there. So yeah, fair enough. Adorkable said, I love that name. Adorkable said, female Pandaren anything, honestly. I main a hunter, but I've been having tons of fun with my warrior lately. Can't stand anything alliance, except for Worgans or goblins. Tauren priests, so Tauren shadow priests, and troll druids follow close next. Oh, I really like troll druids. Those are my favorite. I can understand it with Tauren shadow priests. That's a little bit... But yeah. The Crosshair said, at the very beginning of time, a dwarf rogue because it felt silly. Fair enough. So that's what you guys said about your favorite race class combinations and things that you remember from back in the day. I want to jump into a little bit about RP. So I think we've all seen that build video I made on YouTube, and honestly, my hat goes off, my entire head goes off to all the YouTubers out there who make amazing videos. I have come to the conclusion that it is not for me. I am much better at talking in front of well, no camera really, just a microphone. And even that is a challenge at times, as you guys might notice. I'm much better doing that than also having videos to create and stuff like that. I think if I want to be creative, I will have to throw it on the podcasting bit, maybe a little bit of streaming now and again, and just picking up what I used to do, which is drawing. And that's actually one of the things I've started to pick up again. I am not amazing, not at all, because I haven't drawn in like at least 3 to 4 years, but I have the proof that there was a time I could, and I miss it. I think when you've been creative, it is such a huge outlet to do something like that. So I am going to put myself forward into creating some art. If you want your character's face, so what is a portrait, that's what I was looking for, portrait drawn very badly, send me a screenshot of your character and a little bit of like a background, and I'll see what I can do. It's only for me to practice, so it's not for you to get some really crappy art from your character. It's just so I can practice a little bit. So I'm happy to receive that in my DMs if you want to. Those are the pictures I will accept from your character's anatomy. And let's just jump into what it's all about, which is RP. So, like I said, long story short, that video was not very good. I want to thank everyone who did watch it. Maybe in the future there will be something that will be brought out, maybe just RP stories, or I'll just record while I'm RPing, so you can see how that goes. But I did get people with the request for me to start a series about RP over the podcast then, just with tips and anything that I would have done normally in the video. So I am going to start with the basics, which is really like the basics. So this is a tiny bit of basic role playing, and I think when you start your basic role play, you need to know all the phrases and terms that are being used. So RP, that's the first one. That's just an abbreviation of roleplay. Then we have the two that you will see a lot, which is IC and OOC. So IC means that you're in character, so you're talking as your character. You don't do anything that you would, when you're in character, for instance, and you're a night elf, you don't talk about your computer and stuff like that. Anything that's OOC, out of character, is anything that involves the game that isn't roleplay. So anything outside of whispers or emotes, or yells, that's all in character. But if you whisper someone and you do like these, what is it, semicolons, I think it is, or columns, in between brackets, that's the word I was looking for. That's often out of character, or some people say it in a whisper, OOC, and then they say something like, oh, I need to go pick my kids up from school, I'll be back later. Something like that. I'm just saying something. Another phrase that's quite important is, and this is the one I harp on about, God modding or God modes. That is basically when you start controlling another person's character, and they don't have time to respond. So basically it's like me saying /emote, my character now kills your character. Done. Yeah, you can't really do that. Or, always try to give that person the chance to go no with certain things. So for instance, I would say my character tries to, with an emote, tries to hit this person's character. Then, because I use the word try, it means that the other person has the chance to say, oh yeah, does get hit or doesn't get hit, is able to deflect. But for you to already assume that you hit someone I personally, I would not like that, and it's that little bit of consent. And I know some people might roll their eyes about this now, but I think with RP, a lot of us invest in our characters, and again, consent is a very big thing in that. So don't do things to characters, someone else's character, that they might not be happy with. And that's really it. Another one that you hear a lot is power gaming. So you're not Goku. You know, we're not like all Super Saiyans. I know that in the game we are perceived as the most amazing champion of Azeroth, but you're not. For RP reasons, you are not. So you're just another player like everyone else, so you're not the chosen one who has all the power. You're not, no. Just normal game mechanics, that's what you are. Then there is one phrase that I don't like, but it is being used, and it's a lot when people create their characters. Now you hear this a lot as well when people write their own fiction, or from even from established books, and that's the Mary Sue character. And I think the male equivalent is Gary or Larry Stu or something. I don't know, something like that. So basically, don't make your character perfect. Perfect characters are super boring. So these are people who are like, oh, I'm so beautiful, but I'm also really talented because I can play like 25 musical instruments, and I've never had a spot in my life, and my life is just amazing. No. And make sure that your character has some flaws. If you base characters more on how real people are, whether that be trolls or if it's like, I can say for myself, for instance, I am impatient. I am generally quite lazy if I can be. I'm very stubborn. This is, I'm just reeling down the things that my boyfriend sometimes says to me. I'm very stubborn according to him. And I think, let's keep it to that. You guys don't need to know all my bad things. But that makes, if you put that in your character, it makes the character so much more interesting. I think you can make it really simple. Like, even if you're like shy, just a very shy person, or if you stutter, that's a lot of typing you have to do, but I'm just saying you could stutter. Maybe you like to swipe things when you're a thief or a rogue. It's just small things. Or maybe you're scared of things. Maybe you don't like the dark, or you're afraid of Draenei. I'm just saying something. It makes your character so much more interesting. So, try to give your character some flaws, and you're not too overpowered with things, and yeah. Make your character interesting. That's my big thing. So those are the phrases that I think you need to really, really think of. And then next week I'll talk a little bit about your character development, what you could do, and I will use, I think, Total Roleplay for that, just because it's an easy add-on, and I'll work it a little bit into the podcast with how to use that. So for those of you who hate roleplay, I'm really sorry that this segment is done now, but as you might have figured out, it's quite an important part of my gameplay. So that's really why. And unfortunately, a lot of my podcasts that I used to listen to, who were diving into RP and how-tos, they have seemed to stop to exist. So I'm really sad about that. So unless you guys listen to certain RP podcasts out there, and I'm not talking about Critical Role, because Critical Role is amazing, but I'm talking about specific WoW podcasts, please let me know, because I'm missing out. Again, if you want to listen to something that is really, really cool, that has to do with roleplay and getting into character, I would listen to the Half Hill Report, because that is amazing. I had so much fun being on there as well. So yes, listen to Professor Talib and Toshmifun. I hope I don't ruin your names again. I'm so bad with saying the correct way of your names. But listen to those. Those are really, really cool, and it's very much in character, and I love it. But if you guys know any RP ones that are out there, please let me know. And that's it. That's all I have. And I actually have talked a lot more than I normally do. So, yeah. I think this might have to stay. And if you're all unsubscribing now, I know that I'm doing it wrong. So yeah, just let me know if you're happy to hear some WoW news, if you're happy with some RP background. I know it's my podcast. I'll decide in the end anyway if I'll do it, but feedback is always appreciated and always taken on board. So that is it for this week, lovely people. I will see you again next week, and in the meantime you can find me on various ways. Go to whispersofwar.podbean.com if you want to sub to the podcast or find the other shows. Twitter at whispers_of_war, or my personal one, which is McMonkeys with a Z. Email, you can always email me. I never get emails. I think it's covered with like cobwebs now. It's whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com. And Twitch is, of course, twitch.tv/McMonkeys with 2 Zs. That's it. I will see you all next week. Have a great time in classic retail BFA, whatever it might be. And don't get angry on the forums. Just, do something else. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.